So guys, before we get started, don't forget we do have that amazing discount code thanks to Tier 0 Games going on right now. And all you have to do is put in ZW Games 5 to get 5% discount on your total order at tier0games.com. The links will be in the description below. What's it, YouTube? Dale here from Z4 Games, and I got a couple of requests on the deck profile that I did yesterday for the Dark Magicians to do a couple of combos or test hands. Now, with Dark Magicians themselves, they're not a combo-orientated deck. Like, to kind of get stuff rolling, you need a lot of things to go right for you. Like, you need to have your circle ability kind of go off, in a sense. Like, you have to make sure you're guaranteed the meal off of that. The only real kind of combo that we kind of get is working your way. You do actually need quite a few cards to kind of do it, but ideally what you need is you need Rod and then either Circle or where are we? Circle or this, and then you need either the Apprentice or the Spirit. Now there are ways of stacking Spirit and then drawing Spirit, and that comes with your Apprentice. Your Apprentice needs to be able to put a Dark Magician to the graveyard so that you can then get the draw effect off of this to stack this and then draw into this. Alternatively, the way it works is whatever part you don't have, you go, so if you've got Circle and Rod, you go for this. If you've got this and Rod, you go for that. So you've got a lot of ways to kind of alternate around it. But the idea kind of situation is that you'll normal summon your Rod, get the other piece that you do not have. So let's say we had the Circle, we'll get the this one here. This one, you then play this and stack your deck. Now ideally you want to be stacking it with a Dark Magician, but if you already have a Dark Magician in hand, then you stack it with something else, but you stack it with the Dark Magician. You then activate the Circle will then reveal 3, doesn't matter which 3 they are, and you'll get to guarantee to add the Dark Magician to your hand. Then this is where cards like this come into play. So if you have the ability of getting this to the graveyard, then you would have stacked this instead. Otherwise, if you've got your Apprentice, you then send your Apprentice to do this, summon this, search out another Dark Magician. Where are we? And then you're going to banish this to draw a random one. Now the other ways, again, because it relies on so many different cards in your hand to kind of go off, there's no real set combo. But what you ideally want to be doing, to be able to draw basically the 3 cards you stack off a Circle, to be able to draw all 3 of those, what you need to do is you need to be able to circle. So we're just going to do this blind, but we're going to make sure we've got all the components in order to get where we need to go. So whether you've gone to Rod to get to these pieces or however else you've got to them, the idea is that you would circle, you would mill 3 cards that you need. I'm trying to see if I can actually do it. Let's see if we can do it this way. I'm not 100% sure. I'd need to kind of figure this one out a little bit more to myself. But the idea is you would take one of these. Actually, you don't want to stack your deck again. So what you ideally want to be doing to get all 3 cards that you stack off of this is you want to be able to go play this to stack it to get a guarantee. So we're going to put 3 cards that we want. So we're going to go with those 3. You need another random spellcaster, but the idea is you would circle, take 1, like ideally the fusion, and then if you have the ability to activate the fusion, let's say we have a Dark Magician in hand, so we'll put an Eternal Soul there. You'd activate the fusion, we'd need another spellcaster, whether that's in your hand or whatever. I'll show more of these during the test hands anyway. But you'd activate the fusion, you'd fuse these 2. As long as a Dark Magician goes to the graveyard or a Dark Magician Girl, you go into this. You then use this effect to banish it to draw 1. You'll then use this effect because you've activated an effect to draw another one. If it's a trap or a quick play, you set it that turn. So that's how you get the 3 cards off of Circle. One is obviously a mill from Circle, and then if the other 2 aren't Dark Magician cards, it doesn't matter because you're just doing generic draws here. So as long as one of them is a card you can add to your hand, if you've already got the fusion, if not, you'll search the fusion out, and then you get the remaining cards off of that and set up your board quite nicely. But like I said, most of this is all going to come from the test hands, which I'm about to do now. I'm going to do 1 going first and 1 going second. Ideally in this build, Dark Magician always need a turn setting up, and from this build there are a couple of changes that I would make with like impermanence and stuff. But anyway, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Apart from this, it's actually an insanely good hand. So we have the ability to put a Dark Magician to the graveyard, and we have the ability to get Circle as well. So what we want to do, I just want to make sure that I do this correctly, is we are going to reveal the souls first. Reveal souls in hand. Send Dark Magician. Now this is very, very important. You do not want to revive the Dark Magician. Because if you revive the Dark Magician, you don't have a card in grave for the Servant. We're then going to summon this. Now this can send 2 cards, up to 2 spells and traps from a hand to the graveyard or field to the graveyard to draw cards. Now we're not going to do that. What we're going to do is we're going to normal summon the Rod. Rod is going to search us out the Faithful Servant. We're then going to activate our Faithful Servant and stack our deck. Because we've got this, we're going to put the Dark Magician to the top of the deck. Not top Dark Magician, sorry. We're going to put the Circle. Where are we? You could put the Fusion Spell if you want to, but you still need Dark Magician. So we're going to put the Circle to the top of the deck because that's what we want. We've got the Eternal Soul to revive from the graveyard. It all becomes circumstantial from here on. So we shuffle this. You then activate your Servant to banish this to add the Circle to your hand. You're then going to activate your Circle to reveal the top 3. We're going to take the Fusion. Put those back. We're going to put Eye to the top. And then what we're going to do is we're going to play the Fusion. You can save the Fusion. We can't play the Fusion, sorry. You're going to set the Fusion. You're going to set the Eternal Soul. You're going to pass your turn. During your opponent's standby phase, main phase, whatever, you're going to activate Eternal Soul, revive the Dark Magician. Obviously, if you saved it for the Circle will then pop. Alternatively, if you wanted to, you could put both of these on the field. Use the effect here to draw 2. I mean, hell, you could even get rid of this if you wanted to. So if we got rid of these 2 before we activate them, we draw the last 2 cards off of our Circle. You then set the Eternal Soul, set this trap card here, set the Quick Play. And then during your opponent's turn, use this, bring back the Dark Magician, banish a card off a Circle. Then when they try to attempt to do anything, if you want to, you could activate this. But ideally what you want to do is you want to activate the Fusion spell to fuse these 2. Alternatively, because you put this in your grave the last turn, if they do want to activate anything, you can banish this and negate it. But you want to play this to use these 2. Specifically Rod, because you want Rod in the graveyard. You're going to bring this one out. This will go into the extra monster zone, of course. You can then trigger Rod's effect because it goes a chain late, which means you can then tribute this off to then add this back to the hand. So you've got place for your next turn. Now, unfortunately, you've used all of your spells and trap effects kind of effectively, but if your opponent activates any spell and trap effects, you draw a card. Quick Play, so you can set that this turn and activate this turn, but we don't have any targets in graveyard or enough targets in graveyard to do so. But that just kind of shows you a little bit of interaction. So we're going to draw another card. This will be like an extravagance, an imperm, anything like that. But you've got your Rod here. You've got the Eternal Soul to bring back. Let's say worst case scenario, they nuke the Eternal Soul and they kill this. This then lets you shuffle 1 card on the field back into the deck. Then what you can do is you can normal summon your Rod. Rod can then start doing all of its plays again. Searching you out. If you want to, your Circle or you guarantee the Dark Magician. You do have the Inheritance there as well. So if you're able to get another spell to the graveyard, your Inheritance, search out another piece that you need. You can even go into the Servant because you've got a Dark Magician in the graveyard. Depending on how consistent you want it to be, you can go search the Servant. Where are you? Search Servant. Servant stacks the deck. And we'll put, well, to be fair, you might as well put Mahard. You could put Mahard to the top if you wanted to. So put Mahard to the top. Banish this. We've got 1 in the graveyard, so we're going to draw Mahard. Mahard will trigger and summon itself. We then still need a spell in graveyard. You can kind of see where we're going in this sense, that you just want to be able to maintain your own resources. And moving forward from there. Like I said, this deck isn't optimal. Like that Magician of Chaos Max would be like an extravagance for the additional draws, or an impermanence, just so you have a bit more control over the deck. And like I said, the best thing about the Fusion is because it just sets a spell and trap, it doesn't have to be a Dark Magician one. If you set a generic, it's just insanely good. Anyway, so let's go second. Let's try and break a board, which is quite difficult with Dark Magician, but we'll see how it goes. 5, 6. That's actually an insanely good hand. So we can get a Dark Magician 2 grave and 2 field. So we're going to reveal this. You can try and bait it out with this if you want to first. Actually, we do want a Circle first. So we're going to normal summon Rod. We're going to search out our Circle. We're going to activate our Circle. If you want to, you could save the Circle and stack. The only reason that you wouldn't do that is So what was I thinking? I was thinking of stacking the fusion spell. The only reason you wouldn't stack the fusion spell right now is because you want to be going a little bit further. So like you blind circle if you want to. Otherwise, you can use this. Save the circle. Let's guarantee it. Actually, we'll play this. We'll put the fusion on top. Where are you? Put the fusion spell on top. It's just a guarantee. There we go. We'll do that. Put that on top. Activate circle, and then if it goes bad, there we go. We're going to take that. We're going to put those back. I don't really want those 2 cards, which is great because then what I can do is I can reveal this. This will then send a Dark Magician to the graveyard, and then summon the Dark Magician. I could have summoned the Dark Magician in the last test stand, to be fair, but I wanted to send the spells and traps. That will then send the Dark Magician. You'll get the circle effect to banish a card. We've then got 1 Dark Magician in hand, but because we've got this, we activate this, summon Dark Magician, go, boom, set our Dark Burning Magic. That will then allow us to trigger Servant to draw 2. So we banish Servant, and because we've got Dark Magician, Girl, we draw 2. Oh wow, Itemize and the fusion. That's actually really good if I do this correctly. Need a link monster, because then ideally what you want to do is you want to use these as link material. So I haven't got a link monster in this one, but you would ideally put a link monster up here. Try and move this all down a little bit so you can see a little bit better. There we go. So you'd ideally put a link monster there, which means you can then Eye-of-Timaeus this into a Dragon Knight to protect these 2. Not that this is relevant right now because your Dark Magician and Dark Magician Girl are in the graveyard. You can then play the fusion spell, get rid of these 2, and go into this one here. Ideally, if you did the fusion first, which actually would have been a better idea, use the fusion first, then do Eye-of-Timaeus. You'll get the effect of this to draw 1. This just goes straight to your hand. And then you can set this for during your next turn if you want. If this is YUGIOH, these have got a nice little boost, 35, 33, and then you're just going in for a bit of damage there as well. The only downside to this kind of board and this kind of hand is that we haven't actually got any traps to stun our opponent. So if we haven't been able to break our opponent's board, then and they've been able to maintain resources, we're going to struggle a little bit. But that's kind of it as a quick 10-minute introduction of, or well, a bit over 10 minutes of what this deck can kind of do. Once we get the Dragoons, the Red Eyes fusion play will be a lot better, a lot more consistent. But for now, this is kind of just an introduction to this video, or an introduction to the plays. I'm going to be learning this a lot more as we go over it, and I'm going to be adapting it in accordance with basically the TCG cards that I have as well, and go over it a little bit more in fine detail. But for now, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, and until next time guys, as always, happy dueling.